Welcome back, campers. Tonight, we have a tale that will chill you all over like ice. What happens when a boy cries wolf? Will the wolf get him? Will his parents believe him? Find out in a tale I call The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Clyde was riding his bike through the woods, which was a shortcut in order to get home quickly. Tonight, there was going to be a full moon. The moon was going to become a flashlight in the sky and illuminate the world. The last time there was a full moon, Clyde thought he saw a werewolf. Clyde, who rode his bike around town all the time, developed a habit of taking nightly rides. When his best friend asked him why does he stay out until dark and ride his bike, Clyde said because he loved the starry night sky. He then told his best friend that at nighttime, when the moon and stars are in the sky, they paint the sky with poetic messages, similar to clouds creating shapes. The stars and different phases of the moon creates their own shapes that hypnotizes him. Clyde's best friend thought this was very unusual of his best friend, who used to be afraid of the dark. His best friend thought how weird his friend is acting the night Clyde saw the werewolf. Clyde was flying through the woods the first time he saw the werewolf. He was zapping through the trees, becoming lightning in the flesh until he fell. He didn't see the rock when his front tire smashed into it. Clyde flew over the bike while his knees were dragged on the ground. His knees and hands were bitten by the ground, leaving deep, bloody wounds. He looked down and saw that he was bleeding. Therefore, he walked over to the small pond near him and began to put water on his wounds. After putting water on his wounds, he drank some of the pond water because he was extremely thirsty. This wasn't the first time he drank the pond water. He did it whenever he needed to stop for a drink. He thought of it as nature's own water fountain. Can't save this water for the fishes. The fishes have to save water for Clyde, is what he always thought whenever he was getting water from this swampy, foggy, and musty water. Once he was finished drinking from the pond, he noticed the moon had gotten stronger. The moon became a large, circular blanket covering the sky. Clyde hopped on his bike and began to continue his ride home when he heard a noise. The noise made him stop and get off his bike. The noise sounded like someone running, leaves crunching under their shoes. What happened next was a blur. Clyde said he doesn't know what happened, but he called the cops and told them there was a wolf in the woods. The police came, and when they arrived, they only saw Clyde with his wounds and determining if Clyde was lying or telling the truth. The police looked around for footprints, but didn't find anything. They were upset about Clyde lying and dropped him back off at home and told his parents what happened. Clyde was grounded, but he didn't take his parents seriously, you see. He went back into the woods the next few nights and continued to call the cops. Clyde's parents were becoming livid at this point. They were tired of Clyde lying, crying that there's a wolf in the woods, and there wasn't. So they decided to take away his phone. However, he got his phone back the night before the next full moon. His parents decided to give it back to him because after a while, Clyde stopped going into the woods. He stopped crying that there was a wolf around. Tonight, as Clyde was riding his bike, he knew he was going to come face to face with the werewolf again, especially because it was a full moon tonight. Clyde tried his best to get home quickly but failed when he heard the noise, the same noise he heard before, or what he thought he heard. At this point, Clyde called the cops and told them, "The wolf is going to be here very soon. Please come. I'm scared." This time, when the cops showed up, they showed up with his parents. "What is the meaning of this, Clyde?" his mom said. "You're grounded for a year," said his father. "We're going to have to do something about these prank calls, mister. It's getting out of hand," the cops said. Clyde began to cry. "Nobody believes me. Nobody believes me that there's a wolf, but I'll show you guys. Come over here by the pond. This is where I seen it." They followed Clyde to the pond. Clyde started to stare into the water and said, This is where I saw." Clyde turned around and started laughing and shaking. The hair on his arms began to grow into long, brown curls. His ears were beginning to point out. His teeth began to grow and sharpen like tiger's teeth. Then his eyes began to glow like the bright yellow full moon. The last thing the cops and his parents heard was, "I told you I saw a werewolf. Look who's crying now."